What's up, guys? This is Ben, Tactical Nutrition, and today, short video, but I want to talk about beginner mistakes that people make in the gym and with their nutrition also. These are things that I learned myself. I'm not pointing out I'm not trying to be judgmental or anything. I'm just pointing out to what things that I did so that you guys don't make the same mistakes let's say you're 17. I see like 16, 17-year-olds at my gym sometimes, and some of them are like, you can tell they're really serious, they're serious in the fact that they want to get in great shape, right? But they're 16 and 17, which unfortunately means they don't know anything about anything in the gym. So they're kind of just doing stuff that they got off of YouTube or Muscle Mag or whatever it is. I don't even know if people read that kind of stuff anymore. I used to read like Muscle Mag and watch, read these like, check out this workout for like giant arms, right? And just an aside on those Muscle Mag guys, I hate to sound judgmental, but like with the steroids, a lot of these guys on there are, they're roided out of their minds, these professional bodybuilders. I used to watch like Branch Warren, and like I appreciate these guys and I have a total respect for them because people don't realize what it takes to be a heavyweight competitive bodybuilder. Even if you are on gear, so to speak, you still have to put in a lot of work, especially to be the best of the best. But so people are reading these articles. It's like, here's how to get 20. I saw one by Phil Heath recently. And it was like, here's how to get 22-inch arms. And he just shows like bicep curls and like easy bar curls. And it's like, no. Sorry, guys. That's not how it works. Bicep curls obviously will grow your biceps over time. But like this guy is, you don't get 22-inch arms and with veins like garden hoses poking out of them by going in there and doing isolation curls for a few years. These guys are on ridiculous amounts of steroids, and they just don't tell people. Anyone that knows what they're talking about knows that they are, but they don't usually tell people on their Instagram reel, which I understand. You don't have to tell everyone every single post, but I'm rambling. So anyway, what happens is, like, again, you're younger, you're getting into lifting, and this is what I did. I started doing tricep extensions, bicep curls, machines, isolation stuff. I kind of have like a leg day or an arm day, and like, here's the thing that gets you when you first start out weightlifting. If you're a guy and you're a skinny guy, right? You make the most progress right when you start, generally, because your body is so not used to the stress of working out, the stressor of weightlifting, that you like literally like you do some leg extensions and your legs get larger after like a month, and you think that's how it's just going to be forever. You're like, wow, my legs, I can see my muscles bulging out. You do bicep curls. I remember I used to lift a chair in my old room when I was a kid. I don't know. I would just press this chair over my head, this big old wooden chair, and like I started to see like delt striations and stuff, and you get excited and you think that's how it's going to be forever, but that's not how it works. So what you want to do is, guys, you want to not do as much isolation work, and I harp on this on every single video, and do more compound movements, right? Squats, deadlifts, bench press, shoulder press, etc. Things that the hard stuff that really takes a lot out of you and uses multiple muscle groups, because I'm not going to go off onto the benefits of it right here in this video, but again, it's going to raise your growth hormone, your testosterone levels, all those growth factors, IGF-1, all this stuff. It's going to cause your muscles to grow a lot more, obviously, with the proper nutrition. But so what happens is people just come in and they just do all these isolation exercises. Oh, it's upper body day, so it's chest press machine, and then flies, and then another kind of dumbbell bench, and then another kind of dumbbell bench, and then you do rope tricep extensions and all this isolation stuff. it just doesn't work down the line. This is the stuff you should do at the end of your workout. And again, with heavyweight bodybuilders, and I say heavyweight just as in like, let's just say professional bodybuilders, that not necessarily the heaviest, but professional bodybuilders are doing these exercises generally because like they've extracted so much out of every single muscle, doing the squats, the bench, the deadlifts, all that, the presses, that they now need to get in there and like literally just squeeze the last little bit out of like the bicep curls, right? Like to isolate. So it's funny is that isolation exercises are actually like the most advanced exercises in a way, because that's what you want to do when you've maxed out a lot of your other lifts and you really need to get in there and isolate a little weak spot. Now it does work well, isolation stuff, it does work well if you just have a weak spot. Like I have very long, I'm 6'4", guys. So I'm not like this massive dude. I'm more of an athlete. And so like, I've never had like, I have a very long muscle belly. I've never had like a huge, like, you know, peaky bicep. I have more like a long, kind of skinnier build. I'm sure I'll hear about that in the comments anyway. But so like, I do try to do a little bit more bicep curls here and there, just to isolate. So frequency also. So people come in and I see a lot of people that just are like doing like the same exercises, like seems like 3 or 4 times a week. You're breaking down the muscle and then you're breaking it down some more and then you're breaking it down some more. Essentially over time, you're going to end up with injuries. You're going to end up with tendinitis. You're going to end up backpedaling because it may work well for a little while. The high frequency actually is good at first because your body you just are getting into working out. So like you need to do a little bit more frequency. But as you get into weightlifting, if you do too much frequency, again, like you're not giving the muscle the time to recover. You're going to notice strength loss and you're basically like, you're just going to stall in place because you're breaking it down continuously. Now there is a caveat to that where I've seen, like I followed like Elliot Holtz on Strength Camp where, what he would do is like, he would go over like really hard, high frequency, high volume for like 4 weeks in a row and then take like 2 weeks off. So it's almost like instead of taking a couple of rest days each week, like most people do, he would beat the crap out of himself for like, he'd break down his body for like a few weeks on end. And then he would take a really long rest period, like several days, and then come back and actually be stronger. But that's a little bit more of a different situation. Next is volume. So this kind of goes along with it. People are doing frequency and volume. These are terms you should know with weight training in general. Frequency is just how often you're doing it. Makes sense, right? The frequency of training. So if you're doing 3 arms 3 times a week, bicep curls, you're doing a high frequency. If you do like once every 2 weeks, that's a low frequency, right? But volume is like how much you're doing at each individual workout in each individual muscle. So like people tend to do a lot higher volume than they really need to. This goes right along with the frequency. You know, you'll get a pump and there is times where you can pump up the volume, no pun intended. So you kind of have to learn these different things, learn how your body works. But I'm just saying that most often people, they're doing too much frequency and they're doing too much volume. And those two added together just means that you're going to be like breaking down the muscle, not giving it time to recover. And eventually, again, a lot of this has to do with we don't want to end up with injuries like tendinitis, tennis elbow, golfer's elbow, medial epicondylitis, or lateral epicondylitis. Those are the actual terms for golfer's elbow and tennis elbow. Or you start to get knee aches and, you know, you just start to get those overuse injuries, plantar fasciitis, stuff like that. So we want to avoid that. So what you want to do is keep the volume lower, and you're doing the compound lifts. Watch my video way back several months ago, I think, about the proper rep ranges between 24 and 36 reps per exercise. So like 3 sets of 12 or like 4 sets of 8 is one that I really like. Again, you don't really need to do much more than like 6 to 8 reps, to be quite honest, for most people to get a good. And if you're doing heavy enough weight, then 8 to 10 should be like the upper limits. Otherwise, you should probably be going heavier. But so like, you know, women especially make this mistake of high volume. You know, they're just like cranking out these leg exercises just super high volume in order to get that butt. But I'm more targeting men with this video, skinnier guys. So learn about volume and frequency. Nutrition is the last one. This is like, again, nutrition it's about 80% nutrition, 20% workout is the way we see it. If you don't have the right nutrition, you've heard the saying, you can't out-train a bad diet, and this is totally true. Because if you're not eating enough protein, if you're eating too many carbohydrates, if your macros are off, if you're not eating enough fat, if you're eating the wrong kind of fats, if you're eating low-quality protein that's not very absorbable, like vegetables, let's just be honest, like meat, meat is your best friend unless for some reason you really don't want to eat meat and you want to be a vegan, or you're afraid of cow farts or whatever the hell vegans are doing these days. You can get protein through vegetables, but it's not as readily available. It's kind of like almonds have protein in them, but it's not an optimal protein source. See what I'm saying? A good protein source is meat, beef, chicken, organic if possible, cheese. I mean, even whole milk. I used to drink a lot of whole milk. I know some people don't like milk, but anyway, just because it has a lot of calories and it's easy to digest. But animal proteins. But so like nutrition needs to be on point. You need to eat a lot at first, especially when you're younger and you're just getting into the gym. Your metabolism is really high, especially if you play like sports too, and you're being active outside the gym like most kids should be. You need to eat a lot. You need to eat like 5-6 times a day. And a bowl of cornflakes is not going to cut it. You need to have a lot of protein. So anyway, guys, I kind of bounced around. Not my best video here, but just a quick recap. 4 mistakes people are making in the gym. Too much isolation exercises, too much frequency, too much volume, and improper nutrition, right? More is not always better. Less can be more. Less reps, more weight, more compound movements, really hammer in those big lifts, do the isolation work at the end of the exercise, and watch your body grow. All right, I'll see you guys in the next video.